make a video that I think that could be beneficial to whoever obviously is doing the pie splitting among my mother, and it shot my brain just a second ago, but I think it's important because there's a few things I want to talk about. And it makes me so angry because one of the subjects I'm going to talk about, and all I'm thinking about is electronic devices right now that they're shooting or waiting to shoot at me, so I have to be careful what I say and how I say it. And it's probably why I don't make sense sometimes and I sort of rabbit trail in my conversations. But, we'll start off with the story with Chris Kemp. And this is what I think happened. This is one of the reasons that leads me to believe that they were house sitting and didn't want to get caught. Now, I don't know Chris Kemp very well. I went through his school with him. I saw him riding bikes somewhat frequently. He was friends with the friends that I knew that I was around quite often. Andy Hoppan, Drew Greenway, Michael Martinez. Growing up as kids, and I was a Mexican kid where I literally had to fight physically to start throwing punches and shoving by 3 kids because I was Mexican and I was supposed to stay in my shithole Mexican ghetto area. And so when I was there was a lot of people, but anyway, I say this because when I was 18 years old, I was smoking weed. I wasn't a huge pothead, but I smoked weed and I worked out, and just like recreational MMA fighters would do all the time, or even fitness people, but I didn't do it very often because I got kind of tired of it and wanted to just stay sober. And I was 18 and I was in the car with, I don't know why Chris Kemp and his sister Cameron, which is a transgender, and came over. His transgender sister never came over. Saw her maybe 2 or 3 times at most. Chris Kemp came over a couple of times and smoked weed with Daniel Box. Wasn't at their house because I hung out with Daniel, and I grew up with Daniel my whole life, so much, and so when I went to his house, all the white boys would come over, and that meant like a lot of the times the white boys that would tend to come over would be like the white boys that only hung around white boys in sort of the richer area, or there were much more white supremacy. There were much more greatly in white supremacy mentality. Without a doubt, it was, I'm white. These guys want to take some of this. Well, you want some of these white girls, huh? No, we get this shit. And so there were always, just like the white man, you come to take your shit and steal anything they can get for freeload. That's exactly kind of the vibe a lot of the times they tend to want to give. But even some of them that I knew, Chris Kemp not so much. He knew who I was. Chris Kemp saw my dad a lot. He's seen my dad a number of times, either at soccer games, whenever my dad at a soccer practice, or at school, or whatever it was. But I think it was important because, everyone knew that I was a kid with a really old dad. The entire school knew I was the kid that had, a really, really, really old dad. And I remember, he was somebody that I knew that was raised to understand that I had more money than everyone else, and so we can afford nice things. And he had that sort of more of a mentality kind of way. And I recall, us riding bikes, and, he always seemed to determine a lot of the values of life by what kind of bike you had. And he had a GT bike, which back in the days was like a really nice bike, BMX bike. It was like a $500, $600 bike back then. And to pay for $500 or $600 back when I was 10 years old, that's the equivalent of like a $1,500 bike today. Maybe $2,000 today. But at that time, and he never really gave me problems. He didn't spit. He really didn't have that sort of attitude. And it was mostly just a few other ones. But I didn't have really much of a situation. He was more kind of like a groupie when I saw him with Drew Greenway or Andy Hoppan. But anyway, I remember him saying something, and I knew this other kid named Cameron that was a little blonde kid, and he came from a broken home and really old parents, and he was like a 10-year-old kid, and and so people liked him because he was white. He was a blonde hair, bleached blonde, like natural bleached blonde hair. And that's the only reason they liked him. Because I remember when I was in school, if you were white like that, a lot of the times the white kids, when somebody really didn't know who you were, like these white kids would be my friend, but when a white kid showed up from another school that was totally new, all of a sudden they'd start liking him and favoring him, and it was just because he was white. And I didn't really debate about any of the situation, but that's just the way that it was when I grew up. He was white, so they favored him. Anyway, this kid was the kid that told me, hey, why don't you come over? Whatever. He didn't live in the rich neighborhood. He lived like a couple streets down, but it was a little bit nicer house than the one I lived in. But he came from, he was adopted, and and his grandma was taking care of him. He had a lot of video games. He was a pretty cool kid. And I remember riding my bike with Chris Kemp, and I could sense that he felt compassion toward this kid, because he was like, Cameron drives, he has a $350 bike, or it costs it's a $500 bike. I mean, he had a nice bike, which is weird, because he had a $600 bike, yet he didn't have all the nice sort of luxury of sort of things that somebody could be driving a $600 bike. But anyway, he had that, and so I remember Chris Kemp sort of feeling compassion, so I knew he did. He felt some sort of empathy toward another human being, because unfortunately he seemed to be less fortunate. And I remember sort of riding bikes with him, so I knew something of that nature is usually the evolution of mentality, of understanding. So that is something that I did understood. And I hung around with him a couple of times, or here and there, and because I was always out, I was always active after school, come home, check in, eat dinner, and then go back outside until 8 o'clock. My curfew, I think my mom had me coming in at 8 o'clock or something like that. But if it was past 8 o'clock, it would only be in my front yard, playing with Mickey or Frankie. But for the first 2 to 3 hours, it'd be, after school, just right in front of the house and around the neighborhood. And then I would go, play with Mickey. And so, but I recall being around, I think I was, because I stopped going to his house. I've only been in his house probably 5 or 6 times. And he didn't invite me anymore, and just sort of talking to me, and I think that was why. And I also had this, the reason I said that my dad was a World War II veteran, because I was in this white person's house. Coming inside a white person's house like that, you see how these white people live. They make different food, and they buy nicer things and accommodate to nicer technology and shit, like a white life. I have to elevate my status, and the way that I did that is to say my father was, World War II veteran and a graduate from a nurse. My father's a nurse, a graduate from college, and he already paid our house off. And I just happened to just say it, just blurt it out. And I wasn't out of paranoia. It was just kind of sort of like a proud thing. And it was just because I was like, I had to elevate my status, and I'm not just some cockroach poor shit kid in the corner coming to see what these rich people, white people have. And that's exactly how, when you're a kid, when I was a kid, I would understand that. I would understand how a white person would look at me to see if I was just showing up to take their shit. Like just to see if I wanted to go and see whatever nice shit that they had. And it really wasn't, because the truth is that when you're kids, at least when I was, I never self-invited myself. I didn't. And these kids, they tend to like, certain personalities with other kids a little bit comfortable up until something happens. And that's the way it was for me. But I do remember middle school. He went to school, I went to school. Nothing, I just see him, didn't hang out with him. Had a class with him, a history class, and I talked to him, and he was always giving autographs. Real, seemed like he was going to be famous or something. I don't know. Very athletic, and I recall, sitting next to him, having a conversation, and he knew who I was, because he was kind of a little bit of a joker when he got older. Like, he had a little bit of a kind of joke, but he understood that I was a kid with an old dad. My dad smoking cigarettes in the front yard, just like some old geezer sitting out there, showing up to games and whatnot. But he said that he was trying to make good grades so that his parents can say they're going to buy him a BMW. And I said, no, really, man? And the reason I said that, and I kind of said that, I was like, not thinking that, oh, you're not supposed to get that. What I was thinking, I was like, really, man, like a BMW, like high school? And I was like, and I kind of thought that was kind of pushing it. Like, I thought, like, and I don't know, that's just, maybe it came off like that. So, and he goes, I don't know, but my parents have a lot of money. He goes, I don't know, but my parents have a lot of money. Your parents probably can, or other people can, but mine can do. And I didn't say anything. I just kind of kept my mouth quiet. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. You got a lot of money. So I didn't even think about it. And they lived, that house, because Daniel's box's house was valued, and he told me was appraised at $350,000, $375,000. And that was when I was like 16 years old. If Daniel's house was $375,000 to $400,000 appraised value to what the market is, because I remember that's what Daniel told me. It was over 300. It was about $375,000 to $350,000, $400,000 to $350,000. It's a very nice home, a very beautiful home. At least one of the most beautiful homes I've ever been in. And anyway, so I went over to whenever I was a kid, I was about, 11 years old or 10 years old when I went to, maybe not, I was probably about 10. I wasn't older probably, but I was about 10 years old, and when I went to Chris Kemp's house, and that house he lived in was huge. It was like a bigger house, and that house was like close to $500,000. By now, I'm sure the house value is probably like easily, probably $500,000 to $600,000. And I remember that when we were smoking weed, I hadn't seen him forever. He just happens to show up, and I kind of thought to myself, like, why are you hanging around us? Why are you hanging around Daniel? Like, Daniel drives this fucking 86 Suburban and smokes weed, has no job, and is scruffling people for money all the time, for a bowl of smoke. That type of white kid guy is hanging around, the whites with a lot of money, and they drive around in these, yachts or whatever, and they go to the lakes and shit, and they, listen to rock and metal and shit, and they're drinking their beers with a fucking $75,000 boat. you know, and they have four-wheelers, you know, that their friends bring. All of them got a lot of fucking money, and they all bring this nice shit and take fancy pictures, and they all got the hot bitches. They all got the beautiful girls, the white girls, right? And they get this persona of the white life, and they do, and you're not really allowed to really get into that. They wouldn't let me. There were certain people that I knew that would not let me get into that circle. And I knew they would deter me by the way that if I was there hanging around one white boy that was different, a little bit more lenient, and then I hung around, they met with somebody that was other white, I could see they were like, oh, he wants one of the white girls, or he's not one of us, like he downgrades us. So that's how it was. I can name off a few, you know, I think it was like, I just sensed it. I knew right off the bat how it was. And, but I didn't say anything, so I'm like, at that time I'm DJing, I'm like, whatever, you know, okay, well, enjoy your money, bye. So, you know, whatever. And so I end up in the car, we're 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock, sun isn't fully down, we're smoking out the Suburban in front of Daniel's house. And it's several of us. And I noticed that Chris Kemp and his sister was in the front driver's seat. I think Daniel was in the back, and I don't know who else, maybe one or two other people. And I noticed that Chris Kemp was nervous, in a sense, because by this time I think he had totaled his car. But I don't know him very well, good enough. But for me, my impression is that he was looking forward and then packing on the bowl, and he was nervous, and he was looking to his transgender sister. He was in the car, and they were kind of thinking oh, mom and dad, and they said something, I think, about their mom and dad. And this is why I think that his parents told Chris Kemp, and they told his mom, told that girl that, oops, we're house sitting, this house isn't ours. And it made Chris Kemp nervous. That's my opinion. That's what I think happened. And I wasn't told anything. That's my assumption of it. But at that time, I don't know that they're house sitting. I just know that when you're driving a BMW, you know, he seemed kind of preoccupied, oh shit, we did something really bad. That sort of, damn, I did something, something or someone else he knew did something really bad. And I know he wasn't associated with bad people. You know, he dressed very formal. He had a clean watch. You know, athletic. Could probably get any girl he wanted. White guy, and really not much. He just seemed sort of nervous, shit. Our parents put us onto something, and that's kind of what I know. It sounds weird, but when I'm sitting in the back seat, I'm thinking to myself, he's thinking about his parents, his parents put him in a kind of shithole, put him somewhere. I don't know why, but I didn't say anything, and I'm just smoking weed, and I think I look at his sister and I say something, and then I look over him, say something, and then I kind of go trance off in my voice and start talking about something else. And I don't know, I was smoking weed because I was pretty high. I started to get high. And I started to zone off about something else. And I guess he's just listening to me. I don't know if he was trying to figure me out. I think he's trying to figure me out just quietly, because he's a pretty smart guy. And he looked at his sister, and his sister looked, and he goes like that. So other than that, then we get done smoking weed, and then they go about their business and never saw him again. So, you know, as far as it goes, and this is, if Katy Perry lived over that hill, he lived, because I had no idea where Katy Perry lived. I just knew when I used to walk home, if that was her in the Jetta all the time, then I just knew that it was somewhere near one of the streets I used to go at. Or it was either in that, or maybe she used to go to a boyfriend's or a house, I don't know, but it was pretty somewhat frequent, you know. I just happened for some reason to see this girl, you know, and speed racing all the time, you know, she was going to a destination somewhere. very determined, and you know, and it was, I knew some of the people that lived in that neighborhood. I just knew Kyle Shiplett, rich white boy. He was really good friends with. He was a Jewish kid, that was Chris Kemp's friend, and a lot of these guys. But Andy Hoppan, Drew Greenway, I don't know who else lived on that over that hill that was kind of the rich white boys. I can't really think of. I don't know who else. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of them, other ones. But who knows how many people were house sitting and all this other situation, because it just really wasn't any of my business, and life goes on. And I think it may be worth talking about, because I don't know what the situation. Because when I was in the car with Drew Greenway, I was 18 years old, and he said something like, and it was a very lightly, very easy, like, conversation that wasn't a big deal, or it was very vague about the conversation, and it like a 20-second conversation about it. And he said, oh, you don't know? He goes, yeah, that's Katy Perry. He goes, yeah, she took off, and she took off on all of us, man, or something like that. And he never mentioned or anything about a music video last Friday night being a video that they filmed on that area over there, if that's where they filmed. At least some of that. I just knew that. I think I don't know. I get these impressions, and I remember thinking that I think this girl lived in I knew, if that was her, she lived in a very big house. I don't know if it was her house or not that I saw all those years ago, but could have been a friend's. But that's the conversation of what I thought I wanted to talk about, because there was a couple of them that showed up that I'd never seen before. I've seen a couple times. Either I went to school with one of them, a couple of them I never knew, and they were just the white boys. They were just the white boys that showed up, that territorial to, that he was like, oh, he just wants to get some of the white women. And I even understood that with Daniel Box. That, I could see how it made him feel uncomfortable, but I do recall being around him, and he, it was just different, because a lot of sometimes these people would show up, and they would kind of be like, they thought that the only reason I was hanging around white boys was to get a white girl, and that really wasn't the case. In fact, Dana was the one contacting me because, I was the one that ended up having cash and having other hobbies and other things, and you particularly kind of relate to those types of people, a little bit more comfortable, social gathering. You smoke some weed, you start building allies, you start sharing information. Chris Dotson, even Chris Dotson's half Mexican and half white, and I remember. This is crazy, because this is around this whole time when one day this white girl who had really dark brown eyes and dark brunette hair, and this was Ricky girlfriend's ex-girlfriend, and she was she's a pretty girl. She had beautiful tits and beautiful vagina, beautiful girl. I wouldn't say facially beautiful, but she was hot body, smoking hot body. I don't know how Ricky got with her, masturbating, oil on her, and showed me a 10-second clip. I was like, what? I don't know why she gave that to him. I don't know what. And that was pretty much the situation. But he showed me that video afterwards, and I had told him, and I said, because there were a few people outside, and this is way down the street in front of Joe's old house, and this guy, she was sitting on the curb, and she just started saying the most racist shit I don't know. I don't know if she was. I think she could have been. Daniel Box, I think, told me that she was kind of something was wrong with her, but she didn't look like she did. She particularly didn't look like she was really crazy. but I knew that when I saw her, she particularly didn't think I was all that welcomed. And I think she grew up with a really racist dad, like hardcore racist, like fucking hardcore. Like they install that into their children to make sure they're very dominant toward any white supremacy. And I could see how this person kind of looked at me, and particularly wasn't, I talked to them, very quiet. Anyway, and I didn't say anything mean, and I knew there was a couple of other people. Joni was out there. She's a transgender. I didn't know that either. Chris Martinez, I don't think Chris Martinez was there. Joni was out there and heard her saying like racist shit toward me, and she was saying it, and people kind of looked at her like, and kind of looked at us because like, fuck you, and she was just laughing out loud. She was all by herself, and I looked over at Chris Dotson, like to kind of get some support, and like, what are you talking about? Like, he's Mexican right there. And so he was like, no, man, I'm white, dude. I get to choose. I get to pick. He's half white and half Mexican. And, he's saying something like that. He's denying himself. And I thought to myself, and I thought it was very portraying of that situation. But anyway, I thought, it's worth me talking about, in this conversation, because I'm not particularly sure who's doing what and how this affects, but to me, if there is something that's being put together, my mother is nothing more than a mule. She's just a working tool. She is absolutely dog shit. She's being used as a weapon against me to be the benefit and profitable gain of the president and what these movement of what a lot of these scumbags want. And because she is stupid and not very smart, she will more likely to turn against me. She's my mother. You got to understand that, it's kind of like, you can't just really associate your mother like that, especially in my circumstance. But you got to understand that they know that is on a platform, and they make sure that I pay for it. And they use this as a resource because this one's ugly, this one's stupid, this one has a different understanding, we're going to make a different psychological understanding. It does not change anything. It's just like Frankie being anally raped and Keynote from 97.9 The Beat because he has green eyes and all pretty face, and he's Keynote transgender, real man, and he's a kid's police officer daddy and detective. He's going to get favored. But Frankie was getting his ass ripped open beyond anything, but you're not going to want to put it on him every time. And I could go with fucking 10 more videos about the shit that Kenneth was doing. I swear to God, for me to be in his environment, any friend that I knew would have wanted to fucking beat his fucking ass. Like, fuck him up. But he has that mentality because he is the kid of Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper, police officer, detective. That's why. And he knows he has leverage over the police department, and that's what he's doing. He did not grow up in any hood. He did not grow up in any of that shit. None of that hip-hop. He didn't grow up in none of that garbage. He's living in a $500,000 house. Your fucking dad's a cop and a detective. You don't know a goddamn thing. And it becomes, I think it's important because it all falls on my mother and on me. But that's comfortable. The people around that is because I'm having a knife stuck in my back, and I'm walking with a red flag on it, thinking that let's see if anybody's going to be able to catch her saying anything, and then see what happens, and then because they've already built a secure foundation and safety net, and they're going to use the exchange to say, okay, now just make Julian make sure he gets a relationship with his mom and builds a relationship, and then I'll work out the gay community, saying stupid ass, freaking get fucked in his ass. Oh, I was cool, I was nice and loving. That's who I was, and that's not the truth. People don't understand that when I'm coming around, I've smoked around smoked weed with people I didn't like and didn't particularly trust, and it was just socialized for a moment, but I really didn't trust him or like him at all. But when he came over a couple of times smoking weed, I knew there was something hiding. I knew there was something that was going on. But in order for somebody to engage the way that he blocked me and the way that he was harassing me when he showed up, because there was this blonde girl that was upstairs, and this guy was getting pissed off because nobody knows this fucking story. I didn't bother these people. I was very nice to them, but they thought I was going to take the girl. She was a light-skinned, blonde, beautiful blonde girl. And so Kenneth shows up and he stands in the stairwell and makes sure I don't get that girl. And he's like to threaten me, like stay away. He doesn't even know these people, so they dispatched him on his phone to make the threat. So I knew right then, and I remember feeling very angry, because who the fuck are you to tell me who the fuck I can fucking not? Yet I don't even know about Raquel either, and he does. Knows about a head crack, the dead little girl. I'm spilling the beans when he says, yeah, you should go ahead and buy it with him and David, because nobody knows the story that David is threatening me. He's talking shit about my biological father. He's talking about Michaela, and then he starts talking about very deep details. I'm telling you, he was playing 100% police officer detective against me, but he was trying to buy my trust, to get me to trust and believe that it was a cool situation, so that he could milk me over a period of time. And then that's where Kenneth continued that spiral. And I think it's important for me to talk about, because nobody knows that when I had my transmission all fucked up, Kenneth picked me up one day, and he saw that pig that looked like his dad, and they made eye contact with one another, and Kenneth was not retaliating again, like pissed off at this guy. He was just kind of like going, I could tell his vibe was like I'm just picking up this rug-rag shit and just taking him off because he's bothering me. And I could see how the guy looked at him like an alliance, like, how I'm gay, like, secrets, like, and I think it's important for me to talk about, because nobody knows the stretch of things that if I ever come in contact with Frankie again in my lifetime, all these benefits are to be arranged to completely follow me, to completely follow my mother, then demolish it and fizzle it away in a psychological tactic. When it was this pig, like, I don't live in money. I don't have comfort. They're just feeding and taking and sabotaging me. They're not giving me anything. I'm not looking to be around dangerous people to associate, to sabotage me, especially about my father and my mother and Julian and Frankie. And they know all the details, and they're manipulating the situation. You got to understand this. There were a few times I'd seen him and talked to him, and he'd get up and leave or cut the conversation because I was either trying to figure out something out or something else is going on. But guess what? The President Transgender Movement. And it's very upsetting, because it's very difficult for me, because I know that's what's going to happen. I believe that's what's going to happen. In the direction that I think this is probably going to go, and they've already figured this out, I'm sure, or going to direct it that way intentionally to then switch directions all of a sudden, is to make sure they get away in comfort, and they're not going to say it's racist, and it is. That's exactly what it is, and it doesn't change the fact of whatever happened. I'm not living in money and comfort. I'm not building a career. I'm not. The list of problems only get worse because of what that is going on with. That's the only reason why. I don't, freeload at a hip-hop station. I'm not freeloading. I already created some sort of life of my own that was way more authentic than his bullshit white boy hip-hop shit. Wearing, at the radio station with blacks and thinking that all of a sudden he's hip-hop and black and understands police officer credit rap. Bullshit. But all those things nobody wants to listen to. I know that this is all because, especially since they separated me from my mother, and I've only had contact with her over the last 20 years, just a handful of, just 2 or 3 times at most, is my mother's always just a garbage can. She's just a stupid bitch that doesn't understand anything. They'll dispose of me. They'll train her to get dispose of me. She's not returning anything in me. But she already has Marco in the picture. But then, I didn't even know when they sold it for sex. But Frankie got raped by 10 men, and there was 12 of them total. You're going to get Sarah Cooper. And it doesn't change in the magnitude because I'm growing and I'm living, and that's my mother. And I pay the price for that. When somebody leaves and does all this poison, that poison stays there, and then it's whites and these other pigs and these faggots, transgenders, that they want to clean up and say, you see, we just cleaned up. And then, no. Put them in the room and go hang yourself. See what the fuck you're going to, not literally, but the frustration is so embedded in selfish and greed that Frankie and me are the only ones paying for it. We don't get anything. If they know that people are getting paid for house sitting and are getting don't worry about it, and stealing this money, and they're very smart. I'm totally blind to anything that's going on. My life does not get better. The quality of my life doesn't get better. I can't focus on taking piano classes, or I can't focus on starting a new career. I can't focus on buying a whole lots more of equipment, to learn more musical equipment. I can't just start my own business and promoting to learn the business outlets of that. I don't get to do any of that. Even though I had the ambitions and I had above any person I've ever met. Those matters don't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. That time is going to leave. I had a better life. It's just like the white boys that wanted to pick out all the pretty white girls. They fuck them, and then, they fuck the shit out of them, fuck them in the ass, and then, and then they throw them away, or they just pick them off, and they just make sure they get the fresh of everything. They get the first of everything. It's fresh everything. That's something that was always around me that I understood. They always wanted to make sure I didn't get a girlfriend, especially any of these white girls. It was very constant, especially when they're young as well. In their 20s, 18, 19, 16, 17, they don't want you that at all. Because that's fresh, that's white, that's first class. They get picking first. They pop their cherry, they loosen their ass, pussy up. We used to always talk like that. At least a lot of the guys did. Some of them did. Even the ones that were gay, we used to always talk even more nastier than that. And but that's kind of what they did, and so you just kind of knew how the alpha male of a pack, the same behavior how you see dogs in a wolf pack, how they get the selective mates in the animal kingdom, it was very much like that. It was very much exactly like that. And if you didn't adapt, smart, have money, or have the power to defend yourself, you got deranked, and that's what happened. So it was always about them getting first class and eating first and getting the best of everything first. Everything better than you. Everything first better than you first. Everything better for them first. So, okay. And so I think it's important for me to talk about, because in the circumstances where a lot of this stuff kind of goes on is... Okay, if I met Michael Jackson, and these people are house sitting, and they don't get told until they're 19 or 18, or they don't get told when they're 20 years old, and I notice I'm talking about these girls, or I may say something, and I can get the sense, there's all these things that you lose out in life, and, I don't want to rabbit trail too much, but there's a tremendous sacrifice, and that I'm not able to really feel and do for myself, because nobody analyzes that and doesn't understand that I become this very rut bottom litter puppy, okay? When it's time to get a job, you need to know about computers. When it's time to be smart and try to, fill out an application and get all these things, those things become very difficult. And you have to understand that just because things change down the future, and all of a sudden, you're saying, oh, I'm a mean person or I'm an evil person, it's because I don't want to give that up. I don't believe that Frankie should be getting anally raped so that you can go treasure and keep Ken and Sarah Cooper. Ken Cooper's already fucking dead. Worth this son of a bitch is burning in hell. Madison or any of those pigs. Especially Kenneth. Especially Ken Cooper. Especially Sarah. At all. And Madison is not going to go and wipe your ass, but that's exactly what happens. That I saved Frankie from 10 homosexual rapes. I could have told you this in my 20s. Instead, I'm worrying about paying for my tickets. That's why the police officers did what they did. That's why I'm being harassed so horrifically and frantically by grown 50, 40, 60-year-old men, very wise to manipulate a young 20-year-old. They were doing this when I was in high school. The reason they do this is because they know how to eliminate and keep you preoccupied to what really did happen. Remember Michael Jackson? The leader Michael Jackson. The leader Michael Jackson. The gay. We feel the gays. Gays. You see? Gays again. It doesn't change the circumstances that I should not have to be around that. Now, if it ever comes into a profitable gain and movement, which it always is, and that will be either through emotional exchange, status, God miracle quote, why did God have this person show up for a few minutes and leave? It doesn't. You think it's a miracle, shooting star, that maybe God called upon this person because I was connected to this person just for a moment with his family. Whenever people want to make crazy things up, doesn't change that is a profounding moment. That is a Hitler moment. That is a it's a very powerful situation that people go sort of bonkers and credit me to something that maybe I may have some sort of specialties to something that I really don't. This has nothing to do with that. This is more like sort of a freak accident. But to understand and know that I'm dealing with this, I will only break you off a piece of this pie to how I was treated and to how I think things are going to be playing out. But that's not the way that it works. I understand that if these elements are in fact, and I know that there's other things, then I can understand, well, okay, that's theirs, I have to work on something else, this is not... People are playing the waiting game, and that's what they're doing. That's always my table. My dad's house, that's my table. That Frankie being raped, that is some of my table. Frankie's the one. I do not want Frankie to be fucking watching him getting fucked in his ass and brutally raped, so that Ken Cooper can look like a fucking hero, and his white boys and his blonde head fucks can go sit around all throughout the city and everywhere I go, patronize his mascot like a fucking hero with Sarah Cooper, because they're going to mastermind it. They're going to direct all the anger to Ken Cooper because he's fucking dead and I don't know it. Then they're going to do the Jesus Christ bullshit, so they can do another killing with Sarah Cooper. No, but he was Kenneth the whole time. Oh, now it's changed. But time is running out for me to be able to point the finger and say, I'm 20 years old. Wait, hold on. You have 10 homosexual fucking rapes. This is what's happening with my mother. The time is gone. You lose your youth. People are not caring about this. They're protecting Michael Jackson, and they're doing this for white supremacy. That's what they're doing for it. If I don't get a girl right then and there, then there's no reason why, hey, there's still an opportunity. There's still time. There's still time. So missed out on a girl, and she worked, I think, for Delta Staffing, when, there was, as a PBK, architectural firm, plenty of, okay, well then that's how life passed by. These people were anxious to say, come on, hurry up, we have to put you in your cage first, and then we're going to go over there and do what we want. And that's why they went after me. You don't understand that by the time I'm 27, 27 to 28 years old. 27 years old. No, 28. 4 months before I get raped by Patricia Gardina. And this is a story that I wanted to get to. This is how it piles up against my mother. And they went after me for it. This is a direct... This is what I'm going to say about this. If you can pull up the videos, if there is cameras inside that house, please pull them up. You're going to get the witness of the videos of what this person was. This person, Barbara, was at the peak as one of the most disgusting people. Patrick, this other guy, was threatening me. He was representing King Cooper. There was one of the most filthiest pigs. And I talk about this. This person came over me. I don't even know this person. I just see this person as an old lady I got to be nice to. And I'm just as formal as I can. I work in an office. I got so much other stress going on. You have no idea. I can't express the anxiety through my voice and my words to what's really happening, but I have to stay calm. And I go into the house every day after work. I don't ever go to the living room. I don't put food in any of the kitchen, in the refrigerator. I feel very uncomfortable to go and wander out the house and let me tell you something. When I'm living in this house, when I first walk in, I'm going to show you what she did. And this is how she begins training me to who Raymond Palomo is. My birthday is January 6th. It's in about 4 days. He killed himself. I'm going 7 years in a nursing home watching people get sick and die, and did die within like that. I'm walking through the door and I see people died within 4 days of cancer. Fucking blue eyes and palest skin that you can see like this, just death. I'm looking at death. And there was like 3 or 4 of them like that. And I'm, like the list goes on, okay? So I'm very young. But when I walk into Barbara's house, this is how she portrays my father. And so she begins engaging and I notice that something's weird, okay? I just know that this person is walking next to me, sort of very close, but farther ahead of me, like training me like I'm a dog, and this is what you do, and then this is what you do, and then this is what you do, and then this is what you do. This is what you think, and this is how I, put some of this marinara shit in your brain, and then that's what happened in front of your path. No, that's your realization. And so this person, when I walk through the house and she goes, yeah. She approaches me very aggressively, very firm, almost masculine, and that's what I got masculine from this person. But I didn't know this person put lipstick and all kinds of shit. And I thought to myself, she goes and says, "Hi, I'm Barb," and she says Barb, and she says it like, when you think of Barb, what do you think of? Barbed wire fence prison. But she says it in an engaging way, like, I'm Barb. And it was this lady, like she was engaging, very aggressive, threatening, angry. Now when this happens, I'm like, oh, she looks, right, and she goes, here, he goes, yeah, come on. He goes, yeah, this is my house. Yeah, this is my house. And this is the way that she changes her voice. When she brings her voice down, and she's walking in front of me, and I'm this chair, right? And she goes, yeah, come on, let me show you the room. Yeah, this is my house. The reason that she's doing that, brings down the voice, crinkle voice, and doing this, is because she wants to be able to say, Raymond Palomo didn't give you a house. Raymond Palomo was so fucked up in the head that you were just some scum little Mexican kid off the street, and you just knew him for a couple of years, and he was just so old, and he was just going along because he didn't know what to do. So she begins to do this to me, and this is the conveying belt. Now it's to bring in trust, to bring your comfort, in, and then this is what this person is doing. This is exactly what this individual is doing. But at this very moment in time, I think to myself, the patterns of their presentation, there seems to be very staggering. even though there's something about this person's, as an individual, seems to be off, it seems to be like sort of training me, ordering me. No, I'll tell you, I'll show you, I'll give you see this. And you have to be very careful. By this time, I'm through the roof of stress. I've had some of the worst, just horrible experiences I lived in houses with. And I know that the police officers, the tickets, by this, it's very likely that this person knows something about my life and is sort of behaving this way, because I'm constantly looking on Craigslist so that I can get the hell away to a quiet, nice home and just live a normal life, pace myself, go to school, I'm still young, I fucking, this disease, I'm going to get a beautiful girlfriend, I'm still young, I want a young girlfriend, I want no old shit, it's too late now, but that's kind of my mentality at that moment. Okay? So, when this happens, I move in, I don't have too many choices. And she seems to kind of want me to live in the house when I talk to this person. And she was like, oh yeah, no, I'll take it. This person seems to physically move pretty fast as an old person, but very stagnant. Oh, I'll take that. Oh, like, sort of like that. Like, and kind of like that attitude. But when I sort of show retraction, because I have to defend myself to say I have somewhere else to go, then I think to myself, well, I really don't have any other places, but I can't show you that because I don't know how much you know about my life, but I know you know something about it. But I'm running out of choices, and I'm like, I'll contact you, a couple of days. And so they probably knew I didn't have too many other places, so I move in. Once I move in, this person seems to already very quickly, I only lived there for about 2 months, no more than 3 months. And I was fired at EPA, so where one of the places I lived where Chica was murdered. And within 3 months after, I was living there when Chica got murdered afterwards. And when I'm there, living in the house, there's another old man. And he has all these little kid pictures of the little kid drawings on the walls. I thought it was kind of weird because an old man on a computer all the time with a small bed, it looked like he didn't have a life. And I thought, well, he's just, I guess, like a book reader, I guess, just an old, dating old man that's just in this computer. And very nice. He's very nice, and he was always sort of portraying his Barbara. She's kind of just out. You got to understand, this guy is sort of portraying Kenneth. Because they're investigating me and they're analyzing the situation. I'm paying the price because of everything, how they want to retaliate against me. It's other people that are fucking doing it to me. Because of the scumbag piece of shit of their platoon, of what they're doing to me. I have nothing to do with their pig-infested shit of what they're doing, and they're having me and their people pay for the transgender and secrecy of their homosexuality and this white supremacy faggot shit that they're doing. This is costing me my fucking life, let alone do I later have to find out that Frankie got raped by 10, 12 homosexual fucking men ripping his ass open as a little boy. He can't even walk to fucking school. And that's the truth. So, when this all happens, within 3 months I get fired. I don't stay no more than 3 months. I want to say it was only like 2 months. And this person always seems to knock on my door, being very nosy. Like, knocks on my door, he's like, what are you doing? And he goes, I just say, hey, you doing all right? Like, this person seems to be this person is being very intelligent. Okay, this is nothing stupid what this old trash fucking lady was doing to me. This is very manipulative and engaging. I'm 28 years old. And she has a picture of a black Marine, not even, was it a Marine, a Navy sailor, It was a picture, it was 28, picture of a Navy sailor. I think it was a Navy sailor or Marine, but not the Marine outfits, but I think it was like when they dress up the Marines, they wear the kind of clean outfits or whatever, or it was like a sailor, like when they wear like a clean sailor, sort of high ranking a little bit. And I noticed, oh, who's that? Oh, that's my daughter's husband, or that's my daughter's husband, or that's my. It was somebody related, because I'm like, why do you have a black guy as a photo in your room, and you're a white lady? All white people only show up here, and this is pretty much a white neighborhood. And I see how this person talks to other people. And at one time I went to church, and like maybe another person comes over and talks to them. All they were associated with ever was just, you could just tell that this doesn't go into sequence. So this begins to make me lead to think that, how does this relate to maybe they went after Michaela with a black guy? But they're not going to tell you that until they pin her down. It's not racist until it needs to be. It's not until you know how Keynote from 97 on the beat for the niggas is going to get it. Now, you can't do nothing about the past because I don't know. I'm not involved in the moment, and I'm being cut off from all of it. And they have to make the implants first, because when I put that poison way far down the road ahead of you, and you finally step in that goddamn shit, you don't get your time again. And you're not going to be able to go back because, oh, guess what? It's Jesus time though, huh? And so the retaliation of the psychologists, they don't give a shit. They got, my status, ranking, value of life is diminished to a lot of dog shit. Disease, many factors play into this. And that's a whole different topic. But you got to understand that when I'm living with this person is antagonizing me. And I'm getting very, this person knows they're pissing me off. Like, and I'm always really nice. I'm always trying to be nice. Like, oh, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine. Like, this person is intentionally doing this to portray herself like Sarah Cooper. Oh, I'm just angel, and I was just being God's little angel bird and protect. You don't know detective work. Oh shit! Did I tell you what I didn't say to your mom and dad fucking his ass? These things are very real. This is the poison that starts to sort of snowball and snowball and snowball, because it's a luring effect. There's people out there that, man, they're so secretive about their sex. They don't want to know that they're living a secret sex gay life, and whatever they're doing, it's just like the To Catch a Predator. You ever see those TV shows? They're looking up, screwing little girls and little kids. And you see these gay queers, and they're targeting little 15-year-old kids. And they're doctors and they're lawyers. That's exactly what Sarah Cooper is, and it's so mentally sick. It's all embedded that Kenneth is doing it. This is bullshit. This is why the president, and this is why the psychologists and everything, they do all the harm, the tragedy, and they know that's why. That's just to get away with it. They don't give a fuck. They always get what they want, everything that they want, at the expense of my life, and at the expense of my life, they get everything. They are not going to put that gun and rope around and hang these motherfuckers. They're not going to. They're white, they're quality, they feel sorry for them, they use the public. What they did to me was in shame at the highest values. It's so shameful of what these people were doing in such high groups, because it puts me in such a dangerous position, because I don't know why the hell these people are doing this. They keep bringing up Frankie being raped. My mother, the reason this lady, right, because I'm sitting on this chair, and I'm at Barb's house. And when this lady, Barb, when I'm living in her house, and I get fired, she comes over and she goes, she's literally over the stove cooking, and she goes, and like hard, like my neck snaps like this, like it snapped, like the way that this person hits me, and I'm depressed, okay? Not depressed in any way that's suicidal. I'm just sad because I'm like, I lost the best job I've ever had. $15 an hour. It's an office job. I was like I was bummed probably more than any job I've ever lost because it's an office job. I had my own cubicle. I've never had anything like that in my life. It's in an office for professionals. And I was 27, 28 years old. I never believed I'd ever have a job like that in my life. And I was just like, I was depressed, like just very down. I was feeling very, very down. This person hits me. The reason this person walks over is the way, and she didn't say anything. She didn't engage in argument. There was no reason for the frustration. Now, remember, when this person starts to piss me off and I'm in my room, I'm still polite. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine. Like, stop bothering me. Like this person is trying to train me like she's my mother. And before she slaps me, within 3 weeks before she says that I can be your mother, I can be your mother, I'm your mother. So she's doing this because she thinks that I'm trying to get Sarah Cooper to think that, oh, she's my mother, she's all this. That isn't the truth. So what happens is, this person wants to recreate the events in order to use it against me. Like when Diana, I didn't actually see Diana slap my mother. I was standing by the window and I remember just Diana walking away very fast, like sort of just walking away fast. And I didn't think of it. And my mother just walks in the door like this, like, you very slowly, calm, not shaking up, like she got what she deserved. She needed to be slapped like a little girl, and she was being a little girl and she learned her lesson like the little girl that she is. She just learned her lesson. She wasn't crying, her eyes didn't get red, and she was just like, oh, because this is the attitude, like, oh, everybody, did George Bush slap my mother? I'm behaving good now, like I'm supposed to, like Sarah Cooper wanted, the bitch, huh? No, can't, no. So she has this sort of added, like, expression. I don't ask her. She doesn't tell me. She doesn't say anything. She gets slapped. I'm like, I think she sits down and goes, what's wrong? I don't know. And I'm thinking, like, there's drama. Oh, no, man. I don't know. And I'm thinking, como, you know how whenever they say, oh, me pegó la cáncer, me pegó la enfermedad de tuberculosis, or whatever it may be. It's sort of that language that I'm kind of thinking of. And I'm not trying to make an excuse either. And I'm thinking, what? Are you sure? What? I don't know. I look out the window and I walk. You got to understand, Diana and my mother, when they're engaging, there's no reason for me to ever think what this transgender is doing to my mother. There's never any reason for me to think. You have no idea how manipulating, disgusting this fucking transgender is, what this person is doing. Covering up for that rapist faggot and doing to Frankie and me, and especially my mother. This is why the transgender movement went against me and what they're doing. So anyway, I think the day after I told Frankie, but you gotta understand, when my mother got slapped over there, and I don't know what the fuck's going on, then Frankie says something, he goes, why didn't you say anything? He goes, I did, but I don't know, I looked outside and she would just walk out. Are you sure? Because Mom says she did it. What? I don't know, are you sure? Because I walked outside, or I looked out the window, and I'm like, what? There's no reason. So I just know that there's a negative vibe, but there's no clear reason why for me to think this. I just know that there's this person's like, oh, hi, dead little girl? Oh, you're dead princess? Oh, oh, huh? And she's doing these patterns to find out if she knows about Miguel fucking the shit out of Frankie's asshole, ripping his ass open. Nobody knows. I went to Frankie in like 4 separate occasions that I can recall. It's vaguely, but decently enough to have a conversation about it, where I saw Miguel punking out Frankie, and I told Frankie, we're in the garage, and Frankie's just looking and said, hey, what happened? And every time Miguel saw me, he'd run inside. He'd heard him go inside very quick. So his body language, and I saw Frankie and Miguel it was very quickly to like show you who the fucking boss is. So he's doing this. I see Frankie, and I notice something's off. Like, why? This is Christian. This is Jesus right there. You all right? And his eyes kind of get red. There was a few times where I see Frankie walking down the sidewalk. His eyes either red. What's wrong? And he's looking at his hand like, not saying anything. Wait until 9 others show up to rip his ass up. Because you're going to get a keynote story from hip-hop, from Kenneth, the police department, detective, murderer, but that's the basis of it. Oh, hold on, let me be smarter for you this time. That is a complete lie. That is a complete taunting of the situation. And I think it's important for me to say this because, you know, I talked about Ken Cooper showed up in his police uniform. We're 5 years old after the Michael Jackson experience, like 6 months after. And he walks in front of the door, and I catch him. And I see him, my dad opened the door, and he's looking toward Miguel's house doing this. Doing this, like grabbing his, you know, belt and his, you know, whatever. And he does this. Oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing, Ray? Like he's covering up the situation. And he looked at me, and he knew that I caught him. I'm a little kid, I'm about this tall. And so when he does this, when he's sort of doing this, he then starts to mock my father, and he sits next to the couch, and I drew pictures of this, of what had happened, and the engagement, arguments, like Sarah would come over, discussing toward my mother, leans over my father and does this. Oh, hey, Ray, how you been? You cutting the grass? Or whatever I don't know that's what she said. But she said something, and she looks over at him, and then she looks pointing over, and then looks like that. So I think it's important because, you know, this lady was very fucking disgusting toward my mother. My mother would not leave the kitchen. And my mother was like a peasant. Like, oh, you know, well, I think it's important for me to talk about because, you know, I feel like I'm speaking at my mother's, you know, what do they call it when you give a funeral? I don't know what they call it. You give a speech at a funeral, you know, or not a memoir, but it's, you know, eulogy, I think it's called. And, you know, and I think it's important because my mother and Frankie's rectum is not going to be Madison Cooper's profitable gain and white supremacy movement around the whites and all these other people, and then have Michael Jackson clean it up. And that's what the plan is. You got your money, you make excuses, you're scum shit. You not steal from the poor. And, you know, for me, I think it's important because I'm not the one that's breaking up the pie. I'm 41 years old, you know, in a few days. And I can tell you this right now, there's a lady who's 104 years old right across the hall from me. And they put an orange steel chair at the very corner of this fucking, and this lady is going to want to portray Sarah Cooper. Remember, Sarah Cooper's 85 years old. You want to feel sorry for a wretched old bitch. There's wretched old bitches and old ladies out there that have killed people and have allowed children to be horrifically raped, and you're never going to think that they are because they're nice little damn little Mother Teresa looking ladies, but they're not the real Mother Teresas. They're very disgusting people, and you're never going to know that truth because you're going to feel empathy because you don't want them to die that way. And they should die in shame, disgust, and discarded the way that they did to a child. They did that with all the pure mentality and all the intent to do that to a child. I don't give a fuck about Frankie. I'm going to let this little 7-year-old kid get punched. I'm going to not send him Christmas presents. I'm not going to call your mom and dad, tell you you're stupid. No, I'm going to play detective. I'm going to send Kenneth to the radio station. No, my family, I'm going to be smarter than you. Look stupid, Frankie. Look stupid, Celestina. Look, you're stupid and you're not smart. My mother, mental state, will confine to that matter because of her state resources of money, security, knowledge, education. But guess what? Oh, let me just sell Frankie. Let me just sell his rectum and sell his fucking ass. And then I get raped a couple times too. Let me just do this. It's just life. It's just, immigrant, wetback.
That's white. That's white supremacy motherfucking shit. So I think it's important. There's a car out there, a car just looking at me. Anyway, but I think it's important for me to talk about because that's kind of what's going on. And, there's an orange chair out there. What that word representing these figures of manifestations is that that's a chair Raymond Palomo for Sarah Cooper shit on. And that's what that is. When I walk upstairs, you can hear the door lock for Sarah Cooper. And this person will hit the wall right over here. And so it's a training method. In my understanding, my father was getting into a fight at 65. He was 65. Yeah, he was just about 65 years old. I'm going to say because he committed suicide when I was 70. He was 71, 72. And that fight happened several years, like 5 years before that. So he was like 65 years old. A full-blown fist fight with another old man that could rape the shit out of me. And he's doing this for Frankie. And he gets fucked up. And the guy could have killed all of us. This is how much he's felt for Frankie. But you're going to get Sarah Cooper for Kenneth and Madison White Power. You're going to get Dana White. You're going to get the Whites. You're going to make excuses. You're going to make smarter excuses, tactical decisions. It's not going to say any of this goddamn shit. That's the reality. The reality is Frankie is having an Owen sausage slodged into his rectum with bruises that are the size of a softball. He's being punched around so that Ken Cooper can look not like a betrayal pig after he's dead and gets a proper burial and tombstone. So Sarah Cooper can get the same, and Kenneth can promote that on the radio because he's going to build up this, I'm cool, I didn't know, I'm cool, I didn't know, I just hip-hop stay, oh, let me tell you, but you didn't get it because I didn't get that. They're just taking what's on that table and taking it away. What Frankie, my mother, my immediate family. Because if I don't say something now, than they did already, at least this is an effort for somebody else to sort of say, okay, to your cage. You can die there. You didn't behave. You did some really horrible shit. I'm not going to feel sorry for this pig. And I'm the one that's dealing with this. With Frankie being in a nursing home and being mentally gone, that you got to figure out the stages. Profitable game. What's the profitable exchanges that everybody? When you get older, you also become your state of mind drastically changes. Your opportunities also change. You're not also thinking the same. There's a lot of creativity that can be formed in any way that they want it, because they don't want you to say that you lost anything, because that's the nature of life. You always have to appreciate life. They don't want to tell you what they stole and they took away from you, because that's the pigs that they were to begin with. That crucifix and that crucifix and that crucifix all have different looks to it, and they have different realities to it, the reality of the world that we live in. I'm talking right now, they just shot me with another electronic device that vibrated my chest. But they know that I have a crucifix. So whenever they come to show me about Frankie's rapings, when they come to show me about my mom's retardedness, my mother's slappings, oh, look who fixed it with the paycheck now, didn't it? But it's very minimal hits in the chest that they do. Oh, look, it's just, no, that was your sister that died, the crucifix. No, that was Sarah Cooper. It was just a kindness right there a little bit. No, these are poison tactics that these people are fucking doing. So I think it's important for me to talk about because I already have my own guilt, and I'm more than willing to talk about, because me and Frankie didn't engage into arguments up until the very end before he left, until like the last year that he was there. In fact, Frankie used to pick me up in his truck with Robert sometimes and pick me up from the movies. And Robert used to be like, hey, just call your brother. He has a truck, man. He has a truck. It's like, all right, I'll call Frank, because I never wanted to call Frankie, bother him, get him out of his way, But I'd call him, and he'd be like, oh, okay, all right. hey, it gave him something to do. It gave him something to get out of the house and kind of, we needed him. And he'd come and pick us up at the movie theater sometimes, and he'd pick us up, hey, can you take Robert to work? And we'll see him. Maybe you can, all right, I'll get Robert home. And he'd drive Robert to work, or he'd drive Alicia. And he'd get to drive his car, and Alicia, I got to meet him a couple times. So I think it's important for me to talk about. Because Frankie is going to endure this because they know that pig right there, that's the real devil right there. That's the real evil that this person was doing. And they're going to keep laying it with their whites. The white boys, the celebrities, Joe Rogan, a lot of these pigs, IQs are up the roof. Intelligence, tactical procedures, and positions through the roof. My mother could not probably copy very well even what I wrote in half this page of a GED. I mean, my mother, there's absolutely no ability. So the profitable gains will be transferred in manifestations to have that growth for, it's political power, it's just you don't suffer, but at least you didn't get it. I don't care, but at least you didn't get it. I don't care about dying, but at least you didn't get it, and I feel good about that shit. That's the way that they think. That's the way they're going to do this shit. There's all things that are going to be spreading out because they know that when someone's doing that, now I'm going to want to engage with Jillian. Why the fuck you didn't, what? Well, he didn't know. And I said, big cat crack. I'm saying there's 56 with my blacks niggas. Now it's about whites. If you want to get pissed off at anybody, it was that piece of shit motherfucker that did it for the black radio station. That's really who it did. That's scumming that shit to the very bottoms of that's scumming that radio station to the very bottoms of the horrible shit. That's really bad. That is some Ku Klux Klan type shit, inside nasty shit that someone to be doing something like that in there. But that's the part of the entertainment business. It's just everyone does that shit. This one shot 3 people, got out of prison. This one spent, Snoop Dogg in a car with 4 people that he killed, or 4 people in a car, and one of them killed a little kid. And he's Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, saying Dr. Dre, so I would come up, say we do this, we do that, life struggle, I'm watching him, and I don't feel like I feel like I have to defend him the way that he defended me. When I'm walking, I can then get upset because I know that I can portray myself more of a hero than I really am when I'm walking around Frankie in circles. And I'm like, you okay? And I'm like, he's my brother. He's my brother. But you don't understand that when I'm looking at Skived, I'm always like, just like my dad used to tell me when I was about 5 years old, when you look at a guy, when somebody looks at you, you look them directly in the eye like you mean it, okay? Now look at me. Look at me. Look at him directly in the eye. Look at me directly like you mean it. That's anyone shakes your hand or anyone looks at you, you look at them directly like you mean it. And I was 5 years old and I was told to do this. So it's very good for kids, in my opinion. I don't know anything about kids, but definitely, milestone, for that. But I think that it's very easy and it's upsetting because there's no documentation, there's nothing. It's just about, let's sing a song, let's just, time goes on, then you understanding. Then you understanding, stupid. When you understanding, you say, stupid, I had a better life than you, but you're not going to get the hate on me because this is about, let me have, it looks stupid. Oh, now I have a disease and I have cancer. Now let me play the crutch and feel sorry for me. There was no reason to do that to a poor, because that money that they spent, they're buying something else with it. Okay, now blame it on them because they're the ones that paid for the house and built it. That little kid, 12 fucking rips from these 2 guys, man, were 250 fucking pounds. That guy that I saw at Leach's house, this guy was about 220, 210. This guy was over 200 pounds. This guy was in muscle, like this. He had a build to him, like playing golf. This guy was not small. I'm literally running around the fucking house. Hey, where's Frankie? And I was looking for Frankie. And where's Frankie? Running. And I get out of the house. I walk to where did Frankie go? Where he disappears. This guy drags Frankie, I don't know, by his hand after molesting him somewhere in the house when my mother has to leave the house, and he takes him into the bathroom. And I talk about that they said that they were doing something in the cabinet, or there were band-aids or some shit like that. And I knocked on the door because they weren't in there first. When I went in there first, they weren't in. I couldn't find them. And so I think this guy was like, could hear me. Oh, come on. And so finally they were able to, when I'm outside and I finally go in the circle into the house, I go to the backyard, looking in the garage, and I go into the hallway, and then he wasn't there before, and I noticed the door's like, knock on it. I said, what are you doing there, Frankie? Oh, we're just working on something. And I didn't hear that guy's voice. This guy was about 215. He had a muscle build to him. His calf muscles, it looked like a little bit like a soccer player. The muscle, pretty built, kind of like a bike rider, but pretty round. This guy did not, and I talked about this in this other video. This guy was waiting. This guy looked like he was just waiting to get that bacon, to get the finest cherries he wanted. The little boys. There was nothing about this guy that was, he, without a doubt, 100%. This is how my mother got real scared and saw him looking at him like that. And she goes, that's my son. And she sort of does this, but you got to understand, this is an old lady, not old lady, fragile, Celestina Melendez, trying to protect her son's rectum. Be careful, you don't do that. Oh, but you're going to get Ken Cooper and the officers. You're going to get Sarah Cooper and the pigs forgiveness story. Oh, we got the cruise. We can see that anytime we want. You see, that's white. How we do it in an American flag. That's what they're going to get, and they did. Now, I think if you're trying to fix families, and I think if you're trying to fix families, and I think you're trying to put families together, and I think it's absolutely crucially important to find out this information first, because you'll be able to hardwire the ins and outs to a lot of the circumstances. A little boy that's being raped from the age of 5 years old to 14 years old by 12 fully grown men, 10 fully confirmed, 12, the 2 haven't been confirmed. And that's only for what I was there for. Do you understand what that puts me through? No, you're going to get, you can't go upstairs, get that white, it's Kino, let me hip hop, feel sorry for me, 50 Cent, oh, hitting Snoop Dogg, saying Dr. Dre, I burned the city up, I dealt with more shit. Okay, now show me the burned victim that's in a hospital, so you can, then, okay, you're right, forgiveness time again, huh? That's criminal activity. That is greed. That is criminal activity. That was the intent. I want to harm. I want to hurt. I want to steal. I want to think of myself. I'm just going to slither away and get this, I'm just, feel so, I'm going to get away with anything I want. That's what that is. That's nothing about anything else. And they're going to lie. The tears are going to show up. The empathy of just feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for me again. It's bullshit. They know how to engage the proper way. If all I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to school. This career of a DJ was bullshit. This was just a hobby and to keep me sort of mentally somewhat stable a little bit. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to do something else in my life. You don't gut out a little kid's asshole so that you can go get famous and get money and then claim it's something else. And that's exactly what happened because Ted cracks at the radio station. That's why you sell Raquel over to me. This is hip hop stage. You don't know what's going on. You're just a little kid. Oh, it's because Hector wasn't getting laid in high school. I got to send him a black. No, you don't know what's going on over here. Oh, because my mom's stupid. Yeah, because my mom's stupid again. Because that's where all the good stuff is. Just get stupid to get him to do what you want because she's just going to do this to their other kids. And she does it to me. And you can start figuring out that when you start talking like me and I'm 41 years old, I'm too old to be saying, oh, mommy, help me. I'm always your kid, but bullshit. You're 17 years old, you have your future ahead of you. What my mother wants for me is better that she wants to give to Kenneth and Sarah. That's where it went. It's exactly where it went. There should be safety. There should be comfort. There should be You know, this is not a free token of fame. Go walk in your path of, you know, career building. You're going to go work out, be a bodybuilder, but you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. The only reason I was even training to even scratching on turntables and, you know, sampling, beat juggling here and there. Do you know why? Because the DMC competition is a world competition that is the only gateway for me to ever think that I'm going to be successful. And that is the hardest competition at least, you have to go against the world. There's more DJs than there is any DJs in the world. There's more DJs in the world than any musical instrument. There's more turntables that got sold than any musical instrument out there. 25 years ago, I read this, got told by friends and other people, they surpassed the number of turntables they sold. If you want to be a professional and you have to do it the old-fashioned way, and that is a world competition. That's got to go into Olympics. If you want to be successful, you better train to be an Olympic boxer like that, and that's the way you're going to be successful. But you're not going to be successful any other way. That's the only reason. Now, that isn't an opportunity. I'm not going to go and scum and do hip-hop shit at the radio station with head crack and make excuses because I really want to cool and I don't have a career to go. No, go work at a warehouse. Do something else in life. Go back and work at Ross. Go work at Albertsons. Go to school. You want to be a musical instrument? 10 hours a day. With the piano, with the guitar, that's how you're going to get it. But this is not, figure out your own way, but you're not going to use that. No, that's exactly what happened. But they're not going to tell my mother because remember, my mother's stupid. She's dumb. Remember? That's what she's doing. Because remember, I'm the son that just wants to hurt her, huh? Oh no, this is the police officer. No, this is who we are. She can't really talk. Really? That's why I was right the whole time about this. I told you about this guy Snapchat. He was fucking my mother, and I had to hit the wall, and I have to look at this guy like, what are you doing? There is metal rods shooting through her. There's a bar in her leg. I can see bolts coming in the ankles, like 4 of them, directly into their flesh. Like you just drilled a fucking a metal pole into the flesh of a human being, swollen, disfigured, and getting fucking raped. And I'm the one like, what the? I don't even say what the fuck, like, and I can't believe this motherfucker's doing it. But you're gonna get Keno. Just don't blame him. You know, it's just the troubles, the things are stupid. And then we gave love to bought him a house. They had twins. Oh, Discovery. Who's the hero now? The heroes are the people that recovered the twins. The heroes were the ones that spent the money. What was I? No, the time ran out and I got raped, and then you faggots and your whites and did all this other shit to me. Not all of them, but most of them did and were like that. No, but this is hip hop. I have no idea what's happening. I have no idea what reasons why I'm being slapped at my residence. I'm paying $600. I'm making barely any money. I'm getting 40 tickets from the age of 22 years old to 21 to 28. All those tickets were got, 90% of those tickets were all received after my transplant. I only got, I think, 2 tickets at most, or 1, when I was living in my apartment before my transplant. That's how wild it is. That's how bad it was. 40 tickets. I can't get a good job. I can't pay for insurance. Give them a shit job. Start harassing. Oh, start acting crazy. This is hip. Oh, forgive me. I'm going to live a better life. Oh, let me talk about my problems now. Now I'm going to talk about my problems even more vengeful because I just, it's just smarter. This is not me taking from you're taking whatever you want. This is a buffet. Just like you had my mother, like basically buffet Frankie's rectum out. That house is covered in blood. It's covered in blood. That's what I'm doing to Frankie. Okay, well, shit, I didn't do anything. Well, what about, it's not safe to live there, but Ken Cooper gets to be the attitude and the physical expression of the whites that they're doing on Lottery Wing, Change My Life TV shows all over. Yeah, it's just white American, and that's just the white, Finding Down Country Boy, that's just the white American cowboy, for the mascot. You just don't understand because it was different. You weren't smart enough then. But I was smart enough to understand that this guy is doing something bad to my brother. But I have to engage now out of frustration at something that I shouldn't be because I'm wasting my time doing that because that's what pig behavior is. Oh, but you want 40 tickets because I'm breaking the law? Or do you want a job that pays you $15 an hour at an office so you at least can get better your life and pay for insurance and go eat good food and take care of your health and move on in your life and have a little bit of extra money to pay for a girlfriend at a nice restaurant if you're confident about yourself, just buy some clothes. Take your time, that's fine, but stay at a $15 an hour job. No, it's none of that shit. Because I'm not trusted? How many detectives and police officers do you want to start looking and having conversations with correctional officers in prisons to tell you what other every single person in a prison penitentiary will all tell you how corrupted and bad a lot of the correctional officers are and what they do to the inmates. They're the most horrific things you can imagine. You ever seen American X? You ever see them where they wait the white boy to get in the bathroom and they rape the shit out of his ass? And it's a Ku Klux Klan. You see the police officer then shut the bathroom door? Because over there. Oh, but this one's different, isn't he? Now is to figure out how smart it is to make the sacrifices, to make this content, and then say, withdraw, I need to just do this, I feel content, get the celebrities to do the shootings. Now, that doesn't ever feel good. This is very intelligent. This is, your mother's stupid. It just, Sarah Cooper, feel sorry for the old lady, is just president again. I don't get another mother again. I'm not here to do free labor either. And I don't like to do free labor for people. And I'm not here to save Frankie for them to say have him say, oh, don't worry, I just changed my life, it's okay, it's just, Jesus Christ. It's just, I talked to him, and, just other rape. Because what he's doing to the situation, no. I'm not paying for it. This is not any of that. I'm paying this in my height. This has nothing to do with Michael Jackson. I'm paying this, slapped 28 years old, but in high school, I'm getting eating shit by these teachers. Oh, it's hip hop station. Keynote, because he's already gotten a job. I'm here walking into the cafeteria. Yeah, you can get a donut afterwards when you get done with that. Barry. Oh no, he's a police officer. He wouldn't sell me the black. He was detective work again. Real smart, yep. About the other teachers. Yeah, you just take the fucking money, but nobody knew that I'm saving my brother, Raymond Palomo's son. What am I getting? Do you see what's in my pantry? Do I get to see what beautiful white girls I want? Just get some of the freshest, the fresh stuff? Not leftovers. I want to pick and choose here. Oh no, this doesn't happen here. Because Hector's not a good boy. Since it's just dangers all the time. It's difficult because, I'm risking my life. My mother saved me from having my ass completely ripped open. Why Frankie is having his ass ripped open, she says, you sit right there and you listen, motherfucker. You stand right there and listen how you rip his ass open. You're going to get a keynote story, a Madison story, motherfuckers. And you're going to get the celebrities to clean that shit up and the president. That's what they're doing, and they're going to be successful at doing that because you have to move on in life with acceptance of the longer things you can no longer change and outsmart your ass. And I'll smart your ass again, and I'll smart your ass, and you're just bitter. Oh, huh? Just keep holding on to shit. It's not good for you. Just things you just can't control it. And just mysteriously God set in your path. Yeah, that's what happened. No, because someone put you there. That's why. It's not God. No, you pigs. You did this. You did this. You did horrible things. You made a decision to sabotage and calculate because you got your pigs right over there doing it for you. That's why. I understand that I wasn't the best kid. I shouldn't have yelled at my mother. I called my mother a bitch a few times, numbers of times. Pissed off. I was very pissed off. Nobody understands there's $175,000 and an old man is not only just complaining to me, but I'm having to watch his suicide. I'm the one that's picking him up at the bar. I don't even get to remember this shit. And his money disappears. And his house disappears. What do you think these other alpha males or faggots or Michael Rosser and these other people that are showing up? What are they bringing me? Well, DJ, social behavior. I have to take the gamble with them that maybe at least one or more than one of them are likely to be benefiting to me down the road for emotional support, for mental support, move forward down the line. But I'm giving up a lot. I'm giving up $125,000 home and my father's family home so that somebody can trash it. That equipment, I can go get a job at Grandy's. I can get a job at Subway and eventually earn that. Oh, you just didn't want to do that. Oh, yeah, huh? Because I have a lot of other shit that's going on. I have to be paying attention because I have to think of what my mother's also now engaging with her boyfriend. I have so many things that are going on. This is not easy for, but it's just, and you can't explain these things. That's why it's to put you in a ruckus that you can't think clear. You can't do nothing. And time runs out. Oh, it's just percent. We're going to die. And they just shot an electronic device into my chest again. And I think it's important because, if Frankie, let's just call it a miracle, shooting star, there's Frankie's perfectly fine, it's not going to lighten the things, in my opinion, any better for me, but I'm being forced to, because I don't want to pay for it. You are not going to get a freeloading job at a fucking radio station because this is hip-hop and you're the daddy's little murdering fucking detective. The white boy with blonde hair, you're not. And that's exactly what happened because of Donald Trump, and you got these president motherfuckers, they don't give a shit. Your life isn't important. But I think it's in the efforts to think of, okay, so you have my mother making her own life and all these things. That money, to buy a nice car, you gotta have money. Nobody's gonna give you shit. If you want nice clothes, you're gonna have to. If you want to go and take a nice girl, pretty young, fresh girl, and you're young too, and you want to think, I really like this girl, and you finally get laid, and you want to go and buy her some nice clothes at a nice mall. It's gonna cost you a lot of money. It costs money. It is not cheap. A Rolex isn't $20. I don't wear watches. I don't even like jewelry, but that's, if you want to go to a nice hotel, you want to go to a very nice expense, it costs money. It costs a lot of money. It's not cheap. You're not going to just say, oh, don't worry, just work on your game plan, huh? But, you want DJ equipment, it costs money. It costs a lot of money on those records. These records, $10 a piece. Cheapest is $6.99, $7.99, and you maybe get one of those records out of every 25 records that you looked at least 25. You might find one that was like $6.99, $7.99, maybe that price. And there were always never good records. There were not some of the better records at all. You went to Bill's Records, $10. Everything there was $12, $10 to $12 minimum. This guy would just ring up prices when he saw you. He'd look at you and he'd throw a number out there. But understand that, it's for me, I'm doing labor for my father. Why do I need to go to a nursing home?
oh, it's just Hector was empathy. Well, I didn't get the empathy and credit that I did when he was dead. He didn't get a proper burial either, and I don't think that was necessarily the best of proper burial when, Sarah Cooper's laughing out loud and Kenneth Cooper is standing in front of the casket of my father. And I'm just going to shrug it off like I have to shrug everything off. It's just like you shrugged off Frankie being raped. When you see Miguel right over there. Oh, it's just Keno, it's just police officer. It's just you don't know best. Transgender. Oh, Diana. Oh, but then feel sorry for Mickey. That's 10 years in a box. That's the shoe right there where Frankie is. That's the fucking shoe right there. They call it in prison 24 hours a day, 1 hour of recreation. That's what he's doing. It is. And you can think about your own mother's doing that to you. You see how that works, Sarah Cooper? Because you're going to feel sorry for more. You don't want to feel sorry for old Danny little fucking nasty lady, huh? Because that doesn't happen. But Doms don't exist. I understand that people give away and have more money and more fortunate things, and they can run off with their money. But if there's an accidental, Michael Jackson. If my father already owns a house, and this is a family, then I either should be informed, told, I'm not working for free. Now I'm 41 years old, and all this, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because they are all going to spend their money, and they're going to make sure their money is going to be good. And once again, my mother's a stupid shoebud. My mother's just a dumb idiot. Smart as a bag of fucking rocks. Just real stupid. Because it's real sweet to feel good on camera and look pretty and get all those nice things, huh? Because you already trained that dumb bitch to go ahead and do something to me. Oh, and now you're going to throw that dead body at me, my dead sister, huh? Did you get Caleb with the black guy and you didn't think I figured that out either? Well, you're right, it's not my choice, but you're going to get Keno from, I'm saying, hip-hop station, and feel sorry because death is very real and nasty. It is. I used to see that shit and hear people cry all the fucking time. While my dad's begging money to me. I don't get nice clothes I don't get any nice clothes to go to high school with. I don't own a car. I don't have any nice clothes. I'm wearing the same shit repeatedly over and over. I wear the same 3 pairs of pants all during the week. This isn't, and I'm not supposed to get angry. I get thrown to the streets for many years, nearly sticking my hand in trash cans to eat something all just fairly very close. This is what these faggots are going to make me do. But this is for the transgenders. This is for we all go through struggles, huh? And it's, they wait for the stupid. That's what they did. They're going to make this and that. No. And, and I go through cancer, and what did I get from, credit bullshit, They pick out the smallest things that I do for, even when Julian's in the house, that wasn't the best. It was not bad. I've been around other friends, and they used to get nasty fights, but with their brothers, but to understand that, in the long run of things, I think that in the long run of things, it's going to happen is, in fact, I know it's going to happen. There's nothing that I can do. The direction that they're doing with my mother, with the information, the separation, the dismissal of the time. I can't even go to a restaurant and eat comfortably. They're pulling like French fries out of a fucking trash can. I swear to you, they did this to me just 2 days ago on New Year's Day. New Year's Eve, after the fireworks, it's 8 o'clock. 7, 8 o'clock, and I go over and they're pulling fucking food out of the trash can and then forcing me to say, how do you like that? And then throwing pork on there and knowing that I'm very strict, I don't want to eat meat. Now I have to eat fragments of this fucking meat because this bitch ended up fucking putting this shit in there because the president is telling them to eat put that shit because it's psychology, huh? And if I don't get anything, I should have been able to have a full-time job. You know, every time I go to these jobs, that's all it was about, you know, Michael Jackson and Frankie getting raped and my mother getting a fucking house and then retaliating against me about it. Because just keep feeling sorry for Keno and then, oh, it's not his problem, oh, it's just a police officer, no, it's this. Over there, warehouse job, you get a normal life. Think about the African people, no, you get a shit life. Garbage motherfuckers, you know, David, man, it's very upsetting when you get fooled, and I'm being fooled by the very people I'm actually eventually telling them to come to a hospital. I'm dying in my own life. I'm like, you know, you really value a lot of the things that, for those that understand, you know, the things sometimes a Mexican mother says to you, very old, because, you know, they come from so much poor and suffering, and the little, very smallest things of the way that they believe in God and the structure of that is very sensitive to an understanding why you have to have some sort of God belief, because you can't do nothing about pigs like that. George Bush's fat ass cousin at the corner, or George Bush calling my dad at 9/11. You know, Ken Cooper and the white faggots, you know, Frankie being raped, political power and secrecy and conspiracy. You can't do anything about those things at times. There's so much suffering in the world. That was why you have to, because you know that people like that, they're going to keep getting more. They're going to keep getting more. They're going to be patient, and they're going to get more. And they're going to, what they're taking away and the empathy and the exchange, no. And you're not paying with your fucking life. You're paying with your fucking life over there too. But there's nothing of that that's going to happen. Nothing. You know, and that's why they do it. And the reality is that you're also getting smarter toward God and figuring out other situations to feel more content and comfortable with that. You're only getting smarter and wiser also as you're getting older. So am I. And, you know, I didn't particularly feel comfortable, it's, because my mother has a bag of fucking rocks. She doesn't, they've already just split up the brain where it's like, okay, we'll just shoot her some babies, and then that's what she wanted, and then that's what we fix, and that's what we give her for money, and oh, you get twins, that's a lucky lottery ticket right there. And she didn't, if you saw how she threw that child away, she came over to me and said, hey, there's something to eat. Dinner's ready. She didn't, and her daughter and my sister's right there, laying on the floor, throwing up. And Ivan is sitting next to me, and he was cringing. He was like, I was looking at his face, and I was like, he was like next to me, and it was a beautiful day. It wasn't terribly hot, and on the front porch, and he was looking, he goes, and he was just like, kind of like doing this, like, just thinking, he's like, I don't think your mother cares. Like, I don't know, like he could sense, he was sensing this, he was reflecting on himself, and I could see, I was looking at him, he was like, I don't think your mother cares. Yeah, like he didn't like the fact that he felt bothered that my mother didn't care. Like, it's kind of bad, that's not good. It's not a good thing. You're going to get Kenneth and Sarah Cooper and Keno. You're going to get Kenneth, the real white cowboy, live a good life in this little corner, huh? Because feel sorry for the ones he locked up and all the suffering he went through, huh? Because that one's really hard, huh? Like having your ass ripped open, huh? Because then maybe you give him a gun, and then maybe my father will shoot him when he finds out. No, I ends up almost shooting myself. Oh no, Frankie. Or maybe Frankie might want to kill himself because he's being raped. We all know little boys and little girls sometimes want to kill themselves at very young ages. I think a 10-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid is being raped a whole bunch of times, may think to themselves they want to end their life. But you're going to get a white boy, cowboy, King Cooper story is what you're going to get. And that's how bad it really is. Because they don't care. And you don't want to deal with the prisons. And you don't want to deal with that type of scum shit. I think that, you know, in this particular discussion of this, I think it's just awful. You know, I do hope. You know, it's a heavy burden. It can't be fixed. And I have to pay for it. And I have to suffer for it. And I have to lose out. And you know, you don't get second chances. And, you know, they were freeloading. They bathed in this type of shit because it's an envy and it's a greed. And that's what it is. That's where it's all coming from. It's an envy and it's a greed. They want to steal and take and all this other shit, you know. This is, you know, I'm taking such a brutal punishment, it doesn't get measured. Just the way that Frankie was not going to be able to, or want to tell you the extreme details of that. The horrific, how that was. You can't talk about it anymore. That's what they want. So you don't talk about it. If you can't talk about it, you end up like my dead sister, just laying there vomiting, throwing up, and shitting and pissing yourself wearing a princess outfit so you can look real cool for Keynote and Madison, you know, because they definitely didn't do anything. Do for the white police officers and talking all the celebrities and the people you put on camera, sending their fucking message all to the, you know, oh, it's just smarted out again, and that's they are. And it's horrific because, you know, my mother's coming and she doesn't even want to, she's not like saying that's disgusting. She just looks at the kid and like, I just can't do nothing for you, you know? And, you know, I talked about, I didn't even see this girl didn't even have the abdominal strength to pick up her weight. And I was with Ivan a few times, and we're on the porch, and she's just kind of doing this, you know, and then she falls, and she doesn't have the abdominal strength. You can tell the body, and goes head slap like hard, concrete, connect hard to the concrete, the back of the head. But you're gonna get a Keynote story from 97 on to be with Headcrack, because Headcrack a true nigger. You know, he get down with the niggas, you know, saying he does funny, he does all this stuff, he does good, he built that credit. Raquel, get you a black nigga right there. Oh, but it's not racist until it needs to be. But that's not what I meant. But you can't have that over there. Now come over here. No, this one over, these over here, they don't want to come over here. They're just gonna put you there, and you get some of this ink shit. These over here, they don't like the Hollywood shit. And it's very, very gruesome. Very gruesome in my opinion. You know, okay, well, you got to throw this little girl in the trash can because, you know, what was happening. You know, that's kind of what happened. Ivan took care of her. He took the brunt of most of that hit. That's my blood, my genetics. Now we're going to talk about genetics and my testicles, so we can talk about what my duplication and evolution and possibility of retardism can be pushed out again. Now we got to keep Hector locked up in cage because the police officers are just doing their job, but that's not really what they're doing because you can't select it. No, it's because we can't let them know about the rapes. Oh, Michael Jackson, oh no, it's keeping you safe. At the end of the day, what happens when some people go to prison for 10 years, for 5 years, for 3 years, for completely something they didn't do? And then they have to be violent in there. And nasty as hell. Stabbings, brutal things to even other inmates, ditching other people, and they have to be that way. And they're screaming in their cells. Nobody can hear you, nobody can listen to you. You just die like a fucking worthless piece of meat in there, only for the resources of someone else. You're only a good resource and profitable gain for resources. I get meat off your fucking ass, your whatever food, that's all your life is worth. It's not worth anything else. You don't have a soul, you don't have anything. That crucifix don't mean nothing. You don't need it. Your value of life is nothing. You see Auschwitz, that's what it is. You see how they throw the bodies in there in the fucking burial and shit, and you see their hangs and just lifeless skinny bodies, you just throw them like trash, yeah, just like that. That's what you are in that jailhouse. That's your police officer, yeah, but you are contained. Your life, when you die, that's it. That's it. for everyone else, they keep living. They could win the lottery in a year from now. They can have sex, live in a 2-story house. They can drive a Lexus. Or they can go back doing drugs before they decide to go back to prison. But they could change their life. But when you're dead in there and you get all fucked up, that's it. You're gone. You're dead. I don't care. You won't get another chance if there's any afterlife for you. If there is, it's going to be the worst of content of burning hell you can imagine. I think it's important because, because Julian still doesn't even know about all this and that type of sacrifice, and it's all about them having a good life and good money and good shit. There's no repairs. They're very cheap. They're the cheapest motherfuckers you can ever come across in life. Fucking, you digging in a trash can, they'll take you to the dollar store after being in the hot sun every single day, working away like a slave, and hadn't had a drink. They're so fucking cheap to get you some bullshit Gatorade, from a dollar store, and you hadn't had a drink in like 3 or 4 days. You ever hadn't had nothing to drink in 3 or 4 days in the hot sun? Have nothing to eat for 2 or 3 days. Ever felt that? And it wasn't necessarily by choice. And you finally get to quench your thirst. You ever had that? Oh, golly, man, that bullshit Gatorade, man, that stuff is the best. It just quenches your thirst. Oh, you see how cheap that shit was? Because you couldn't get that over there and you didn't do what I told you to do. Oh, I'm just going to say it was helping me, wasn't it? So anyway, thought I'd make a video. I've been talking to you for about almost 2 hours completely in this video. As long as I've ever made a video. It's going to take a while to look, so hopefully it's going to put some insight. You can play it in the background if you're at home, get some understanding. But at the end of the day, I know that that's going to come to that conclusion. And I do know that there's not really much that I can do when it comes to splitting up this portions of pie, splitting up who got this and this justice. I have no control other than to throw this more information on the table for an attempt to have something go my way. And it didn't in a drastic way, but something to say, well, I'm sorry that, Ken Cooper made you cry out on a balcony, out on the porch after having your ass ripped open, smoking a cigar and laughing while all these, people are going to put this on TV, and the celebrities and these pigs at the White House as well. Ain't nothing I can do for you. But, for my biological father, Michaela, if it's important, and the dead little girl, So, like I said, that's the best that I can do, because I'm not the one that does the dividing. It's someone else that did, and time ran out. It's different face, different view, different perspectives, renewing in different settings. But as far as that goes, they're ready to point the finger at something else.